திடலாக்கி மகனகத்து மனரங்க எம்மானாட தொட்டி ஏனம்மாளர் தொட்டி எட்டி.
India wakes gently. Souls in their millions stir as the dawn breaks. Behind the traditional images lies a robust economy that can and does make anything from needles to nuclear reactors. Their daily efforts to make a living are set in scenes which are centuries old. It's a consumer's paradise, this land, where 150 million people form a middle class with a formidable purchasing power. The achievement has been to do all this without becoming slave to the multinationals, where traditional small crafts join together to form a vast web with small business and giant industry. All this with resources gathered within the country itself. The electric trains which converge daily on the industrial heartlands carry workers whose skills have made India the 10th largest industrial power in the world. Sophisticated factories will produce 1,000 motor vehicles today. All over India, the traditions of home-cooked food continue. Economics, as well as the web of religious restrictions and dictates of caste and creed, has meant that a man needs to eat food cooked by his wife, food he knows he can trust. But these days, the wife often has to go to work herself. Yet, by a unique miracle, each worker will have his home-cooked meal hand-delivered to him at lunchtime. And that's the duty of the dabawala, or tiffin carrier. In modern Bombay each day, an extraordinary ritual of precision and timing takes place. 500,000 meals are cooked by wives shortly after their husbands leave for work. 500,000 separate tiffins are packed. And with the regularity of a postman, the dabawala arrives to pick them up. The hot food will be at best lukewarm on delivery, but at least it will be home-cooked. The tins begin their journey first by foot and then by train, a journey that can often take over 2 hours. The covers are marked with curious symbols, as intricate as any postmark address. Speeding the tins to their destination is a particular clan of Indians, who formed a cooperative to make a traditional custom a thriving modern business. The city is cleverly divided into regions, and the scrawled coding system does the rest. No computer could do it better. Tiffin was that quaint word derived of the British Raj, which means a snack in place of a regular meal. A tiffin carrier was the ingenious metal container which served to keep a mobile meal warm. The delivery charge for this excellent service is minimal. It's labor-intensive, which is what a populated country needs, and exemplifies how the new can work with ingenuity to preserve the old. Today, the destination is Churchgate Station, the heart of Bombay's central business district. The Dabbawala is a common sight in Dalal Street, named after canny merchants who've made this port, once a wedding gift from the Portuguese to the British, an industrial powerhouse. The gourmet delights in the tiffins will be largely vegetarian. But the spicy curries will still be fiery and rolled into pancakes with chapatis, those extra thin wheat pancakes that slide down the throat by the dozen at lunchtime. And a generous portion of the finest long-grain rice in the world will leaven the meal. By midday, each tiffin is delivered without mistake to its hard-working consumer, who eats his home-cooked meal before the container begins its long journey back. The miracle is complete. "1,500 miles to the north and many cultures away, the people of the valley of Kashmir have been sensible enough to realize that theirs is one tradition that cannot be bettered. Their harvest is saffron. Its collection is a delicate, painstaking process. The land is beaten with sticks into a fine bed of dust to host the plant. The flour is culled without trampling the soil. The work is hard, long and backbreaking, and yet, because it's done by whole families, overheads are low, and the wealth is not dispersed by high labor costs. The attractive flour that carpets the fields contains a fine golden strand which brings unbelievable flavor to a meal. The strands are as prized as gold dust, almost as expensive. It was once known as the spice of kings. Far to the south, near the port of Cochin, the futility of clinging to traditional ways is revealed. Ancient Chinese explorers in search of spice taught the ancestors of these fishermen the intricacies of the dip net, with its complex schemes of ropes and pulleys that enable offshore fishing. Yet the fish on the shoreline of the fabulous Malabar coast are long gone. Beyond the breakers lie shoals of sardines, mackerel, pomfret, seal, prawns and squid, for which the Japanese now pay handsome prices. The wealth of the trawl now goes to those who've invested in mechanized fishing boats that can range offshore. These fishermen can find their inspiration from the Kashmiris to their north. The Kashmiris have adapted to a waterborne economy ever since an outdated colonial law forbade the British to own land here. Instead, the British built houseboats on the network of rivers and canals that trace through the capital, Srinagar. Since land was scarce, the Kashmiris followed their example. The wooden houseboats supplemented their dwellings on shore. The valley floor is strewn with lakes, and the rivers of the high Himalayas fertilize the soil below. Floating gardens are common. The modern science of hydroponics, or cultivating vegetables in water, was discovered here long before it was fashionable in the West. The floating economy, literally speaking, makes the trading boats a lifeline for commerce as well as social contact. In India, there's not a hard line drawn between work and community life. As the produce of the floating gardens is sped to the markets, a flotilla of traders come together down the network of small canals. In the cold light of dawn, agents and shopkeepers meet the growers. Bargaining is a well-established fact of Indian life, not only for its economic benefit, but because the pitting of wits enlivens a hard-working existence. A buyer's sense of victory is gained by plucking just one extra vegetable from the cellar. The daily bargaining continues well into the morning and gives rise to tales of one-upmanship that would rival those of an Irish horse trader. It gives the term browsing an entirely new meaning. The bazaars of India are where its economy thrives. A teaspoon economy, you might term it, for you can buy as much or as little as you like. Yet the sheer volume of daily transactions is such that it equates to the trading muscle of much more sophisticated commodity markets in the Western world. But whether it's a single stalk of sugarcane, a few beads, or the more traditional cloth and mirror work from the desert markets of Rajasthan, the art of selling is pursued vigorously. There's a nation of small manufacturers and entrepreneurs out there where the sole capital investment in a business could be as tiny as a steel sewing needle. The skill and the wares are open to the passers-by. There are no hidden extras to sweeten the purchase. What you see is what you get. The economy moves upward in scale when you move from village to city, where the middle class can afford to buy in bulk. Each market has its own specialization, its own rhythms that take their echoes from the small-scale bartering of the past. Yet the casual atmosphere of the bazaar prevails even at the stock exchange, where the traditional skills of bargaining and trading are honed to a frenzy. No wonder it's known as the Sata Bazaar, the bazaar of stocks. The non-violent Mahatma would be amused at the violent verbal trading his portrait presides over. Sophisticated computers bring instant news of the merest tremble of a stock price halfway across the globe. The stocks traded here are of giant companies with traditional brand names. Most trading today will comprise Indians investing in India. If this is a nation of entrepreneurs, its modern ways were set by a nation of shopkeepers. The now fading influence of the British Raj can be seen from the humble London-style double-decker bus to the more grandiose Venetian architecture. The emancipated Mother India may have taken over the trappings of control, but her problems are similar to those of any ruler, the pressures of population stretching scarce resources to breaking point. It's said that one person comes to make Bombay their home every 20 seconds. The variety of work available attracts village workers to the cities. India's population has quadrupled over 2 centuries, and it's the cities with no welfare system that must bear the brunt. A high population level creates opportunities for continuing traditional occupations, but with a 20th century business acumen. The housewife from the middle class still needs to do little work of her own. Instead of the traditional household full of dedicated servants, there is now an army of service industries ready to perform the same function at the same relative low cost.
One dress and 2 pants.
Jagdish Kanojia provides one such service. He's the head of a family-run mobile laundry business. Within hours of tying up the bagwash of clothes, his family put them through an overnight steam bath, a method said to remove the most stubborn of stains. Jagdish has come a long way from his forebears, who made little money pursuing this craft in the village. He may still be called the Dobiwala, the laundryman, but his standard of living has skyrocketed by village comparisons. The affluent middle class still suffer from daily cuts of electricity, and gadgets like washing machines are expensive to run and unnecessary when an efficient local service like Jagdish's is at hand. The public laundries of Bombay offer job opportunities by the hundred. The method of cleaning the clothes may seem old-fashioned and brutal, but it's been tried and proven over generations. Like the Dobiwalas, an intricate coding system ensures that the right set of garments is returned sparkling clean to its wearer. The benign climate is a natural dryer. Hot coals, not electricity, drive the heavy iron as efficiently now as they have done for generations. The daily cycle is complete. The survival of ancient skills, because of continuing tradition, is best exemplified in the marble studios of the desert cities of Rajasthan. Marble is known as a symbol for love and compassion, but it's for more practical reasons that marble is sought. It's cool in the searing heat of the day, easily washed, and an affordable status symbol. The white marble from Makrena forms an almost inexhaustible supply to these carvers, who chisel away at it much as skilled ancestors would have done. They may have added intricate screens for the mosque of an affluent sheikh in the Middle East to their order books, but essentially they unravel the same features of the gods and goddesses that will grace new Hindu temples. Since every Hindu household will have a small shrine devoted to its own protective deity, business is never slack. And yet again, it's an art that's handed down from father to son, with children taking up the chisel as soon as their wrists can hold a heavy hammer. The gods that are created for the temples of Rajasthan still chronicle the history of its valiant people known as the Rajputs. But in the changing world of India, craftsmen must now move to where major works are building. At Sampura, near Bombay, the workers are building a brand new temple. Sometimes, a stubborn image is given a helping hand with an electric drill, rather than worrying at the problem the old way. It'll be decades before the ring of chisel on stone is replaced by the electric drill. The pinnacle of the marble worker's art is an image that is so well known that it almost exemplifies India. The same quarries that make today's temples supplied the marble for this magnificent Mughal tomb. It was 22 years in the building, with as many thousand workers employed on the site during construction. A lapidary from Delhi was responsible for the inlay of jade, crystal and lapis lazuli, as well as another 40 gems used to adorn the marble. Like the marble carvers of Rajasthan, other communities have been the repository of special skills. A carpet can be virtually charted into existence by weavers who've memorized the pattern. Rug weaving affords an opportunity for a family business, with the deft fingers of children quickly acquiring the skills needed to tie the intricate knots that advance the design 1 centimeter each day. Rug making was encouraged by the Mughal emperors, who summered in the valley and imported designs from Iran. The workers will need to master the talim, the script used for making designs of old. Each symbol representing a different color. Rugs may take up to 2 years to weave. Their quality is measured by the number of knots per square centimeter, reaching well above 80 for the finest of patterns and less than half that number for everyday use. The old patronage of the Mughal emperors and the Maharajas of later years has given way to wealthy industrialists and their giant corporations. While weaving was first perfected in India, embroidery arrived with the Mughals, and again, it's the Kashmiris who've made their shawls famous. It's one of the oldest industries in the region, employing over 50,000 people, with whole families working to produce the intricate designs. The finest wool comes from the underside of the Pashmina goats that live high in the mountains of Tibet and Ladakh. So fine is the fabric woven from them that a full shawl can be passed easily through a wedding ring. Pashmina shawls are becoming harder to come by as the years pass, but the embroidery on less superfine wool is still as radiant as ever. Another skill, which is the virtual monopoly of the craftsmen of Kashmir, is papier-mâché work. The raw material is a mixture of wood pulp, cloth and rice starch cast into shape in wooden molds. The floral designs are intricate and colourful and decorate everything from a jewel box to a pedestal lamp. A different kind of paper industry, also dependent on scraps, has its home in the village of Sanganiya in Rajasthan. Unwanted cloth from a nearby cotton mill is felted together. Recycling in India is not a modern trend. It's been a necessity for hundreds of entrepreneurs seeking cheap material to make a living. The relatively inexpensive cloth scraps will be turned by these workers into handmade paper. The process of crushing the soaked rags together and pulping them produces papers and boards renowned for their strength and lasting qualities. They need to be for the rough usage they'll get. The paper will provide the material for bus and train tickets for millions of commuters, or form the basis of elaborate formal treaties. In the teeming heart of India's capital, television aerials are the new signs of a robust small economy. This is the home of Abdul Ghaffar, a Muslim master tailor. His modest home is half an hour drive away from the busier of the two shops he owns. He's not rich enough to own a car, but his status permits him to forsake a crowded bus for the slightly more private delights of the auto rickshaw. His destination, Connaught Place, the hub of the capital and much regarded by traders, all of whom want a shop here. Abdul Ghaffar is one of the lucky ones who managed to secure such a foothold. Abdul Ghaffar's grandfather began the business in the Muslim tradition of creating fine work for court nobility. While tailoring is not entirely a Muslim monopoly, male workers like Abdul Ghaffar continue their community's tradition of fine craftsmanship. Like most small business, it's a family affair, with the employer seen as patron and guide. Job mobility is difficult in India. Work is prized, and while the employer may be dictatorial, he's also aware of his workers' cares and often intercedes with small loans or gifts when his employer's welfare requires it. Abdul Ghaffar's shop is a prime example of how competition and specialization coexist, with a local network of businesses contributing to the finished garment. In India, it's factory-made goods which are more expensive. Going to the tailor is a regular occurrence, like going to the small markets to buy fruit or vegetables. Competition is fierce, yet the reward it brings is that even the humblest pocket can afford clothes made to measure. The variety of styles in India requires a tailor to be versatile. Abdul must cope with anything, from the fitting of a formal Nehru jacket to the making of more European-style garments. Profit margins have to be kept low, requiring long, hard hours in return for a modest living. If the Muslims give India its delicate crafts, the Sikh community gives it drive and energy. The Sikhs are highly visible in India, particularly because of their long hair and beards, which they keep by religious instruction. They're in the forefront of the armed forces and the first to enter mechanized farming. They're a strong, close-knit community with well-developed community ties. They're always on the lookout for new opportunities for expressing this drive. Surendra Singh was a clockmaker who exchanged his meagre capital of 4 clocks for the more lucrative world of driving an auto rickshaw. A rickshaw represents high capital investment. Most drivers hire their vehicle from someone else, often a middle-class professional who may own several rickshaws as a business. Unlike many others in this mini-taxi industry, Surendra Singh is the proud owner-driver of rickshaw number 8099, and even now he looks ahead to when he can convert from a no-door to a 4-door vehicle. Either one will provide him with the challenge of driving India's anarchic streets. The auto rickshaw, with its nimble turning circle, is the weapon with which Surendra Singh uses to outwit his daily opponents on the road. Here, it's not uncommon to find a camel cart in the fast lane. The Sikhs live with energy and play with energy. They've supplied India with its military might, as well as sporting champions. When they've taken to industry, it's always been with an eye to expansion and innovation. The transport industry has provided them with a fertile outlet. They own fleets of trucks that carry India's goods, and are mechanics at the workshops that keep those trucks running. The Sikhs are a reformed sect of Hindus. They're not a race, but a brotherhood, Their strong community ties and sheer energy have made them a common sight in most parts of the world. They're quick to seize opportunities and adapt to changing surroundings. Surendra Singh will occasionally punctuate his long hours of work by a quick tea stop. The Indian tea is brewed with lots of sugar and milk. This particular stew is an acquired taste, but much loved by workers for the energy supply it provides, as well as a needed break in the long day's toil. A different sort of entrepreneurship has led the community from this part of the desert to blossom. The Shekhawati region is an arid corner of Rajasthan, where the soil returns one lean year in every 3, and drought withers away the crops 1 year in every 5. Yet the Marwaris who live here have returned wealth to this hard country. The little towns are still dominated by the handsome mansions this merchant community once built. The Marwaris were village moneylenders and shopkeepers who set off from here centuries ago to make their fortunes in the then British ports of Bombay and Calcutta. The streets of Calcutta's Burra Bazaar were then, as they are now, alive with business opportunities. Opportunities which this desert clan grasped with both hands. Like the Sikhs, the Marwaris too are a close-knit community who support each other in enterprise. They began in earnest, dealing first in opium, indigo dyes and oilseeds, but later became agents for British firms, the great trading houses of the Orient. Some Marwaris still use their original tiny offices, known as gaddies, set up in crowded tenements above which they lived. They began to develop that quiet confidence that now sets them apart from other business communities. The bustle of the bazaar may be frenetic around them, but the Marwari traders kept their cool, bargained shrewdly, and added wealth and coin to their cash boxes. Cash was king, but the money was only displayed back home. The frescoes on the walls flaunting the sort of company of nobles they met and moved with, and the lavish lifestyle of their new patrons. But in their enthusiasm to display newfound wealth, they impatiently painted them on the outside of their walls rather than inside. But as their wealth grew, so did their discretion. The community still continues its tradition of oral history. Even their lullabies sing of strength and valor.
We hope that this business will also develop in the next few months.
They added manufacturing to their armory. Ratan Shah, for example, runs a middle-sized enterprise with his family. 3 brothers, a sister, and several in-laws meet regularly to provide mutual business support and offer advice.
You will see that accounts are I want one account.
Around the table are 8 small companies, each employing 9 workers. The principals have all had university training and are quick to seize new business opportunities.
It's a problem. So the solution is there also.
The flavor of this generation is electronics.
I think it should be published or advertised in the newspaper.
No matter how daring their business ventures might be, or how sour they might turn, the Marwaris are renowned for the values they brought out of the desert. Their word is their bond. Debts are paid without fuss, in cash if necessary.
Advertising is a very important part it will play in that.
And while the Shahs plan their futures, their factories are hard at work. This one turning out plastic items, alloys, packing materials and steering wheels for Indian-made cars. Small factories like this form a part of a powerful national grid of skills and economic activity, which also supply clients in distant overseas markets. 18,000 steering wheels are made each year for Hindustan Motors of Calcutta. The factory is owned by the leading Marwari industrialists, the Birlas. They too took their opportunity from an English business, this time the Morris Motor Car Company, who are about to put the production line of their Oxford model into retirement. These Indian industrialists imported the entire production line and built an automobile empire from it. Old-fashioned it might be, but its sturdy build and spacious cabin make it ideal for Indian conditions. In a country where the tried and true sells better than the new, the ambassador has become a known, trustworthy friend. Hindustan Motors is but a small part of the financial empire of the Birla family, whose fabulous wealth rivals any industrial giant anywhere in the world. It is the second largest company in India, with enterprises ranging from engineering to cotton mills and newspaper publishing. The principles which all Birla executives follow are: be ready to jettison an old line of business for a promising new one, but with care and great preparation. They have their old maxim to remember: never step beyond your blanket. Never try for something beyond your reach.
It will be an almost identical plant to the one they are running in Australia, which has been one of their success stories worldwide.
The wealthy industrialists have taken over one attribute from the kings and princes they supplanted. They're the new patrons of the arts and charities. B.K. Birla, one of India's greatest magnates, plays hymns on the harmonium. His wife knits for charity. It's often the Marwari women who manage these charities and make them flourish.
Gets filled with the vibration of the sound form of the Lord. But those were days when women were modest. When the daughter-in-law was the Maryada...
Their large, comfortable home is frequently given over to religious gatherings and philosophy seminars.
From politician to politician, from statesman to statesman, from seer to seer, from minister to minister, kings were silent, elders were silent, her husbands were silent.
In Delhi, theirs was the home that was open to Mahatma Gandhi to host his daily prayer sessions. No money is too great to lavish on this fostering of traditional Indian values.
The Lord was playing a game of dice with the Devi.
B.K. Birla's daughter looks after an art museum and cultural centre. Here, students of all ages learn about painting, sculpture and drama. The brash energy of the village frescoes has evolved into the sophisticated modern images. Ties to their desert home continue to this day, as does the protective eye they keep on those who didn't travel. From humble beginnings as village moneylenders, the Marwaris now dominate the Indian industrial sector and remain leaders in the business community. But for each one who leaves home to grasp the new economic opportunity, 20 stay behind in the village to continue more traditional ways. The 557,000 villages that web India together are the backbone of the economy. At Rahuti village, on the wide, flat, fertile horizons of the Indo-Gangetic plain, the homes are run as they have been for decades. The monsoon rains are still the principal source of irrigation, so new crops and methods of agriculture are treated with caution. The cow and buffalo provide milk and driving power for the plough. Feeding the animals chaff takes a large part of the day, with simple machines taking over the tasks of shredding. Homegrown cotton is sold in the nearest market town, but increasingly comes into competition with factory-made goods. Village craftsmen are finding it hard to compete against the city products. This village potter, though struggling, still provides hookahs, clay vessels for drinking water, and storage containers for grain to neighbouring families. But behind the traditional images of village life, changes do occur. New seed varieties are producing bigger harvests to keep pace with the growing population. At the moment, it's a neck-and-neck race. The population pressure puts an ever-increasing burden on the land. To adapt to this change, once self-supporting villages grow cash crops to feed the cities and give themselves more buying power. Sugarcane is one such crop, taken to the nearby mills for conversion into raw sugar or molasses. The humble village cigarette, or bidi, is another cash crop of a kind, which is now exported to the cities to bring in revenue. It's made from coarse tobacco leaf, grown in the nearby countryside, and roughly cured in the village factory. At a price of about 50 for 10 cents, it's popular with the poor, and this labour-intensive operation is firmly a part of the third world side of the Indian economy. Pay is low, and whole families must join in to make the venture economically worthwhile. Since machines are out of the question, the workers must try and match them in speed. Time, which used to pass slowly in the village, is now forced to race by. Some villages have been quick to cash in on the popularity of traditional materials. Sanganer in Rajasthan has always been famous for its hand-dyed and hand-painted cloth. These craftspeople were once exclusively patronized by princely houses, with colours and dye-stuffs reserved for the nobility. Now it's the affluent Indian middle class and the international tourist market that's discovered the fabrics, and Sanganer is busier than ever. The greater majority of Indians, however, now clothe themselves in factory-made cloth out of the cotton mills of Bombay and Ahmedabad. India's industrial base is equally divided between a giant local market and an expanding export trade. With greater affluence has come greater demand for the amenities of modern civilization. Production line methods now meet the demands of the middle class. Enlightened employers are now beginning to provide their workers with the kind of conditions and amenities that factory workers enjoy in the United States and Germany. This part of India is firmly in the first world. Yet pictures of gods and sages still line the factory floor. Vani Bala is one face of modern India. She's a student of economics at Delhi University. But she's also a devotee of Indian classical dancing. Her ambition is to become a professional dancer. But just in case that doesn't work out, she has a career in accountancy standing by. She's a modern young woman who travels to classes by public transport, has male students as her friends, and is a good social mixer. Her studies are preparing her for a profession that she has not inherited from her forefathers. Even though her sights are set on dancing, there are no compromises in her academic life. She feels she's on the brink of success.
In USA and the other countries that you just named, it is so mechanized that obviously it's going to have a better bias on the standard of living. So how can we compare the two standards of living on agricultural basis as such? Ours is still based on primitive methods, and that there is more mechanized than ours is certainly.
The apprenticeship for dance is even more rigorous than her life as a university student. For 15 years, she's been learning from the same teacher, Bharati Sivaj, herself a famous dancer in her day.
From here. This round, take it fully. Take the full sentence. Take it from side, come forward and this.
It's called Bharatanatyam, a famous style of dance which originated in the temples of the south 1,000 years ago.
This movement,
Each flicker of movement, the raising of an eyebrow, the curve of a finger, takes on a special meaning. But Vani also learns another dance style called the Mohiniyattam, which comes from Kerala in the southwest. The dance was revived by her teacher, who scoured the temples of South India for knowledge of this nearly lost dance form. She and a fellow student prepare for a professional booking for 2 performances in the Mohiniyattam style. The costumes of Indian dance are elaborate silk and gold embroidery, and it takes time and care to dress and apply makeup, which includes the traditional red painting of hands and feet. And now they're ready. The last rehearsal is over, and the girls touch their teacher's feet in recognition of her knowledge and authority. There is no subservience in this gesture. It's one of love and respect, made by the young to the old, the student to the master. The pursuit of art in India is hard and the apprenticeship long. At this stage of their careers, there's little of the glamour that surrounds famous dancers. Vani and a friend must take whatever engagement is offered, walk to it, and dance in less than ideal conditions. Out of doors, in daylight, before a critical audience. The venue is an international trade fair, just one of the increasing showpieces of Indian technology, yet one where the organizers also want to showcase their country's rich traditional heritage. The centuries-old dance, performed by a budding economist, is a fitting blend of the national will. Vani's professional opportunities will flourish alongside an expanding Indian economy. Although her country has joined the space age and ranks amongst the leaders in modern technology, it remains anxious to maintain traditional roots. Here, cultural heritage and modern technology are not merely coexisting, they thrive together.